is the tea on a film called The Last Run, 1971. Actors had just a lot bigger say in the movies that they were doing than they do now. Like, actors have a say in the movies that they do. Like, you know, Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, that whole thing. There's frameworks of movie stars, but back then, you won an Oscar, it was over. You had the rule of the roost. Such was the case of George C. Scott after he had won Patton. I think he was well known just generally throughout his career as being a little difficult to work with. I mean, Kubrick wanted him to go over the top Tim Robinson with it, and he did, but it was kind of like a manipulation tactic relationship situation. They never worked together again. He hated his performance, but Buck Turgidson is maybe one of the best characters in fiction.
Listen, Chuck, don't forget to say your prayers.
But he does Patton, wins the Oscar, and then he does this movie called The Last Run. It's kind of a coming out of retirement to do one last job movie, but it's also a reverse Baby Driver. He is a getaway driver for vagabond criminals. And the movie's good. Let's be clear here, the movie's good, but this movie had so much behind the scenes drama. John Boorman was the original director attached to this. George C. Scott couldn't get on the same terms with him for a script. And then they went to John Huston, who'd previously worked with Scott on The List of Adrian Messenger and The Bible in the Beginning, and so they thought that would work. But there was constant fighting on the set. Admittedly, Scott was drinking all the time. Huston really wanted to do something like, it seems like he wanted to do something a bit more experimental with it, and Scott wanted like a Humphrey Bogart throwback. Like, that was what was in the original script, and Huston just kept changing it, frankly to the point of like just eradicating anything that was in it, to the point where there was like just no characterization, motivation, all that stuff. And so this is all happening while they're like shooting stuff, and they're shooting like different versions of the script. Every day is a different script. The actual logistical production of it was getting jumbled and confusing. And by February, Huston walks off set. And MGM then shuts down production for like a number of weeks. They wanted to completely shut down production, but the MGM head of European operations, Robert Littman, wanted to save it. It was being filmed in Europe. I think that's the connection. Robert Littman, he flew out Richard Fleischer, the journeyman director behind 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Fantastic Voyage, Dr. Dolittle. They brought him in. He was just finishing up a movie with Mia Farrow, See No Evil, and threw him in, go like, hey, can you solve this? And would you believe it? He turned it down initially, but then he read the original draft and he's like, okay, yeah, I get it. So it was, you know, Scott had the right idea. He claims he was the miracle that saved the film. The film would have not worked had it not been for him, and that might be a pompous way to go about saying it, but it sounds like the truth.